All right, expenses. So expenses are a little different, actually quite different than your expense accounts. So if you look at the comparison of this, everything in your items or tasks that you invoice customers for will fall under your income accounts, and all of the expenses your business has will fall under your expense account. So again, these accounts here, income and expense, are just categories of those expenses. So if I go to expenses, if I click on vendors, you'll see that I added 2 vendors here already. Vendors are just people we do business with. It can be Starbucks or food or whatever your business needs as part of selling your products or services. It could be hosting. It just depends what business you're in. So if I add a vendor here, let's call it GoDaddy. And if I have monthly expenses for GoDaddy, let's say I can just add an expense here and type in GoDaddy. And this is hosting. And let's say it cost me $25 a month. And this was the date. Now I can say I paid this with a credit card. Here's my expense account. Do I have hosting? I don't. So this could be software and subscriptions. And I can also assign this to a customer. But for right now, we won't. We're just going to save this expense. And I can see it was $25. It's not assigned to a customer. I can also do the same for recurring expenses. So I can create a new recurring expense for that same exact thing. So if I have, let's say GoDaddy again, and I know this is a monthly hosting for $25, and I'm going to pay this with a credit card. My expense account is, let's say, software, or you can go in and add a new expense account. But I want to assign this to RK Records, and we're going to call this monthly web hosting. You can add attachments. When should we add the first expense? Let's add it now. Frequency is monthly, and it's going to happen for the next 12 months or not. We'll make it infinite. We'll save that expense. And now every single month, the system's going to generate an expense specifically for that customer. So what happens is you go to an invoice and you want to create a new invoice for RK Records. Right here, you're going to see that this customer has 1 expense. I can take this expense and just click of a button, add it to the invoice, delete this one, save the invoice. Oh, we'll call this hosting. Save invoice. And that's it. I just billed them for hosting and I didn't forget. So having these automated recurring expenses really helps me not to forget to bill customers. The regular expenses are fine. Recurring expenses are things that happen on an ongoing basis, preferably something that you need to bill the customer and not forget. So vendors, again, are people you do business with. Expenses are any expense that your business has, and recurring are those that are recurring. Now on your expenses, for example, if I'm adding a new expense and I can't find an expense account, I can always go into accounting, expense account, add expense account. Let's call this hosting and create that new expense account. So if I go back into expenses and I find this right here, which is monthly hosting, I can edit this and I can put this into hosting, and now you will see that expense account right there. Simple enough. Any questions, let us know.